I have this vintage Rolex Datejust that was manufactured in 1975. I'd like to be able to wear this watch for sentimental reasons. I've worn it a couple of times, but worse than the 30mm dial size, the bracelet is just too small for my wrist. I've searched for extra bracelet links or even a suitable strap, but without success. Now I have a possible solution. Stay tuned to this episode of Adventures with Time as I solve my bracelet problem and see if I've been able to make this watch suitable for my wrist. Welcome to another episode of Adventures with Time, where I chronicle my activities and experiences in watch collecting. If you've watched my first episode or either of my two State of the Watch collection videos, you'll probably remember that I have this Rolex Datejust passed down to me through several family members. I've also used this watch to demonstrate polishing a crystal. I'll leave links to some of these videos in the description below and also at the end of this video. My father inherited this watch back in 1986. He wore the watch for several years until passing it on to me. It's a stainless steel blue oyster perpetual Datejust, model 6824S, with the original oyster bracelet. The specs for this watch are 30.4 millimeters in diameter, 11.3 in thickness, 36.2 lug to lug, and most importantly for this video, a 17.6 lug width. Now this is what they call a mid-size watch back in 1975 when it was manufactured. By today's standards, and especially given my 7 7/8 inch wrist, this watch is small. Even though the bracelet links have springs in them to enable the bracelet to expand, it really isn't usable by me. I've tried to locate some links to lengthen the bracelet without any luck. I also tried to find some straps that would fit and something that would make the watch appeal larger. Again, no luck. However, the other day I was surfing eBay to see if this Rolex model had actually been listed or sold on eBay, just to get an idea of its value. I came across this listing of a replacement bracelet for this exact watch. It's not a Rolex product and is not branded in any manner, but is intended for this watch and supposed to fit nicely. I figured I'd order it and give it a try. So here is the new bracelet that I've received, and first thing to check out is how well the ends fit right onto the lug, and it looks really good. That'll look like the original. But let's compare it to the original. The first thing you'll notice is the end links look fairly similar. They're both hollow end links, but they have the same styling or design on them and the same shape, so I think they'll match pretty well. The links themselves from afar have the same design, that oyster bracelet design. However, mine has been rubbed and scratched, so it actually has a bit more of a shine to it. Now the big thing you'll notice is the original bracelet has this spring mechanism on all the links that will allow it to expand on your wrist without any sort of micro adjustment. The new one, no springs at all, so you have to use micro adjustments every time you want to change the length of the bracelet. Now let's look at the connection points of each of the links. The original has these rivet connections. I don't even know how you would change or remove one of the links in here. That's something I'd like to find out. The new one has screws for the last 3 links on the bracelet, so you can obviously adjust the sizing. The other thing to see is how they taper. Both taper pretty well, and if I put one on top of the other, it looks like the new one tapers a little less than the old one. Let's see the other way. The larger end seems to be the same, but the smaller end doesn't taper as much. Obviously, the other side is just the same. Expansion on the old one, no expansion on the new one. And the next thing to look at is obviously the clasp. The original has the fly open clasp, as does the new one. But the new one obviously has no branding from Rolex, either here. There it is, the Rolex branding here. Obviously the new one does not have any branding except for the manufacturers. The old one has 2, 4, 6 micro adjustments, and the new one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 also. And the new one is a bit wider compared to the old one, and that would match the wider links here. So this new bracelet should work well as a one-for-one replacement with the original. Should fit on the watch head very nicely and look fairly good. The only problem is that you'll see I've lined up the spring bars at this end, and here we have maybe 1/4 of an inch more length on the new bracelet. That's not enough for my wrist. In fact, I did try the new bracelet on the watch and it doesn't fit my wrist, even with all the micro adjustments at the maximum. So I went back to the company that sold me the new bracelet and asked if they could provide an extra link. They responded very quickly and did give me an extra link. It's actually the same as this next to last link, because this one's a special link to go onto the clasp. So I should be able to put this link right between these two, and that'll give me another 1/2 inch or so on the length of the bracelet, and that should fit quite well. So let me do that now, and we'll see how it looks on the wrist. Once I've got everything in place and I'm sure that I want to keep this link on in this position, I'll use some Loctite on the screws just to make sure they don't come out over time. Okay, managed to do that without scratching a lot. Now to put the watch on the head. And I always forget which end goes on the 12 o'clock, so let me give that. Usually it's like that, and the watch is like that, so this goes to the 6 o'clock side. I undid the micro adjustment side so I could lay the bracelet flat here. Now we want to put the micro adjust pin back in, put it on the widest to start. There we go. So the other thought I had was to try to use the old clasp, since it is branded Rolex, with the new bracelet. Now I can detach them on this side using the micro adjust pin. I'm not sure if this smallest link will fit inside the clasp head, but the bigger problem is over here, and that is detaching this. Let me give you a macro look of that. But as you can see, these smallest links are attached to the clasp by wrapping around this center pin. I don't think that pin comes out. I don't think if this pin would come out. So I might have to uncurl this metal piece on both of these and then switch them and curl it back on. I'm afraid I might damage the bracelet doing that. I wonder if you guys have any ideas on how to do that. Other than that, the final decision to be made is whether I'm going to use this watch or am I going to let my wife use it. I have a feeling it's more suited to her size. Although I must say she is not a fan of either blue dial watches or bracelets on watches. But I think I might be able to convince her. Let me know in the comments below, who do you think wears it better? And speaking of Rolex, my next video is going to be some thoughts I have on Rolex the brand, their watches, and their new 2020 lineup changes. So be sure to subscribe, hit that bell icon so you're alerted when I post that next video. Until the next time, thanks for watching.